All right. So, I mean, one of the things you do basically, though, is you're building assets with these homes, but also, I mean, on your digital marketing side, it seems like you build a lot of assets there with your webinars and things. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. How far back you want me to go?
Yo, guys, what's up? It's your boy John, the smartest podcast. Another dope ass episode is about to come your way because on the other side here, I've got your boy, my boy, Ron Douglas, an amazing, amazing entrepreneur. And I'm really glad to have you here. Ron, tell the people what you do. You know, you're like the guy from the fifth floor that I don't remember, from Martin. That what was Martin's friend? What was Tommy? You
Big
remember
bro
Tommy?
from the Tommy.
No,
Tommy
Tommy.
ain't got
Yeah,
no
Tommy.
job.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up, man? I appreciate you saying I'm amazing, like two amazings. Amazing entrepreneur. That's
Yes,
better than just amazing, double amazing.
the
That's what I'm
double
talking
amazing.
about.
You amaze the amazing ones
Right. With no job.
with
That's
no
hard to do.
job. No job. Can't put a title. I'm like, what's his title, man? What would, if you had to put a title on it other than entrepreneur, what would it be?
New York Times bestselling author, investor, uh, yeah, serial entrepreneur. I don't know, digital marketer.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm.
Yeah, that's kind of the way, I kind of look at you as just so many different things. But we can talk about those things. But more importantly for me, I mean, like it's 2023. And so what's going to be different this year, just in general?
This year,
Yeah,
for
what are you
me or
feeling?
for everybody else?
Yeah, either or both.
For me, not much. I mean,
Okay.
I'm still going to be business as usual. My business actually, I believe in, like most experts forecast, that we're going into a recession this year. So that actually helps our business, as you know, because more and more people come online to find other opportunities, and I tap right into that, with my different businesses and webinars and promotions and things that we do, events. So for me, not too much. The other thing that I have going is I have a real estate portfolio. So I would be affected if my tenants lose their jobs and can't pay their rent. But I don't really see that happen on a mass scale. I may like have
Right.
higher
Right.
than normal vacancies, but last year I collected 92%. Last year wasn't that great of a year
Either.
either.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I think all these predictions are a little late.
right. Yeah.
You
It's like
know.
we're already in it. Like, so what did they say? Like right before the elections, they changed the rules on recessions. They're like, nope, not a recession. The
Right.
election's coming up. They
Right.
changed the whole definition on it. So we had 2 quarters of declining growth, and they're like, nope,
No,
forget
that's
that.
not enough.
It's
Yes.
all good right now. Just vote for us. Like, that was crazy to me. But yeah, I think yeah, a lot of people out there struggling. I mean, I'm blessed to be where I'm at, and I worked a lot of years, like decades, to get here. But I know what it's like to struggle, and a lot of people out there struggling. I know what it's like to get laid off. I know what it's like to, wonder about your future and have kids and bills and stuff you have to worry about. And I don't wish that on anyone. And you know, you get through it. I mean, it's all with time. You get through it. You figure out another way. There's so many other ways to hustle and make some money if you had to. Like most people, you get laid off from their job, but there's other things you can do. You just don't want to do it. Like
Mm.
anybody could go be a salesperson somewhere. Maybe you just don't want to do it. So, I mean, in this country that we live in with all this opportunity, somebody will hire you for something, but people are stuck in this box of like, I have to do this certain thing, or I have to advance my career, or, if you need money, you need money. You can go out,
Go
bunch of
out and
things you could do.
hustle. That's
Yeah,
true.
you could buy stuff in the fleet market and sell it on sell on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace if you needed to. Like,
Yep.
it's all about how bad you really need it.
Yep. I mean, and it's not necessarily. I mean, honestly, now that you mentioned that, that's kind of how I got into business completely, is because I was about to go bankrupt. You know, messing around with real estate. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, if I had an advisor like yourself, maybe I would have learned something. You know, 92% ain't a bad number.
Yeah, I took some knocks when I first got started in real estate too. I mean, I had a steady job and I had a business going, so I had some. So the main thing with real estate is you got to have reserves, right? Just in case something happens, either a line of credit or something you could tap into, or some money in the bank, because stuff is always going to happen. The roof is going to go,
Yeah.
the
The AC.
HVAC,
Yeah.
something is always going to happen, and you're going to need reserves to do it. But I don't know if you want to make this a real estate discussion, how much you want to
It
get into
is
that.
anything. I don't care, man. I'm sucking the wisdom out right now. So
Right,
that's
right. So with real estate, it's all about reserves, and it's all about knowing over the long term the properties are going to appreciate. So even if you put money into repairs, you're not losing any money. You're putting it into that house, and you're increasing the equity of the house, and you're increasing the length that you can own that house and profitably collect money. So, especially when you have a line of credit on another house, you could take equity from here, put it over to here, that value of that building goes up. So you're never really losing money. You're just investing long term, and over the long term, it all pays off. So you have to kind of think of it that way. So,
what was your first investment property?
my first investment property was, well, I got into the game because my mom's house that I grew up in and that my siblings still lived in at the time in 2006 went into foreclosure. Like, she couldn't afford the house. She inherited it from my grandfather. And I didn't get along with her boyfriend, so I had to go. So she kicked me out of the house. So for a period of time, I didn't have a place to live, ironically. And then years later, I end up bailing them all out and getting that house out of foreclosure. And the house had a lot of equity in it. So I took over the payments. It was a 2-family house. So I rented out the upstairs. And that's how I got into the real estate game, trying to save the house that I grew up in, so my mom and siblings would have a place to live.
So it's
now
your
I had
grandfather's house?
It was my grandfather's house. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Do you still own this house?
No, we sold it in 2019.
In
And
19.
she passed in 19, and we sold it shortly after. And my siblings, I just gave them, we just split the profit. I didn't have to.
You just like
split the profit with them. Yeah.
Drama. Keep it at a minimum.
Yeah. That money was gone within 9 months. They blew that money on something. I don't know. And was still asking me for money. But yeah, that's how I got into real estate.
Wow.
So I had this equity line. So I took out a home equity line because the house had a lot of equity, and I used that as a down payment to buy my first investment property. If you don't consider that one the first, I guess my second investment property at that point. And it was a fourplex. It was a 4-unit house.
Wow.
In upstate New York.
4-unit
building. Yeah.
So I mean, like, you went from the family home, even though it was a duplex, to a fourplex. Now, what made you want to go? I mean, yeah, like you said, is this going to be about? But yeah, let's talk about the mentality there of going into a multi-unit. And you weren't living in the state, were you? Where the multi-unit was?
Yeah, it was in New York. I was living in New
Okay.
York, but it was about 2.5 hours away. I was living in Queens, and that was in upstate New York.
Did you take some kind of course that made you say, hey, let's do the 4 thing?
I just did some research to see what people were saying, like forums and message boards, and it was always like the more units, the better, right? So when you think of a building with multiple units, so like say, compare buying a fourplex versus buying 4 single-family houses.
Units.
Right. With a fourplex, you got one roof, one heater, one of everything, one property to manage, one group of tenants all in the same place. Whereas if you buy 4 single families, you got 4 of everything to worry about, and your expenses and 4 tax bills, and everything is higher, versus you could have that one building with multiple incomes coming in from that one place, and it's just a more profitable venture to do it that way.
So this is 2019. You still own that?
Yeah, I saw
flip out
that,
of
and
that?
well, which one are you referring to?
The fourplex.
Yeah, I
So
still own the fourplex.
let's say
I got
that's
that in.
your original. The other one you worked it out. But it wasn't necessarily you going in with the idea of this is going to be a income stream for me. But this fourplex now, this was an investment for you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I still own that one. Yep. It's doing well.
Yeah, it's doing well.
It's not my best one, but it's still going strong since 2007. Yeah. So it's pretty much the rents. It's pretty much paid for itself and then some. So it's just house money at this point. So all the money that I put into it, I've made back in rents, and the mortgage is paid off and everything. It's just house money for that one.
That's brilliant, man. So I mean, like, are you still buying more and more of these? And is that kind of, is that one of your side hustles, or is this pretty much a very big focus for you?
It's I would say it's a side thing that I do. I mean, I've been buying slowly but surely since then. I have 10. I just bought my 10th one. My 10th multifamily closed just recently, like a week ago.
Wow.
January 6th.
So how many doors is it? How many doors do you have now?
I have 40, exactly 40 doors now.
40 units?
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, seriously, I get it. Do you have 40 times the headache?
No. I mean, I don't manage them myself.
So it doesn't, well,
no.
Yeah. It doesn't scale like that.
The headache doesn't scale like that, unfortunately.
Okay.
No, I mean, there's stuff
important.
that comes out, but the property manager deals with it. I'll just kind of, he's the buffer. He deals with the headaches, and he just tells me what I need to spend. But there's money coming. The money coming in rents is always enough to cover the headaches.
Yes.
So I'm not really concerned, and I don't really, it's just extra money for me because I still have my business and whatnot, and I'm just in it for the long run because I know these houses, most of them are already doubled since I bought them, like
in value.
A lot of the older ones. Yeah. So the market keeps going up in value. So, I mean, you win in multiple ways, right? You win with the house appreciating. You win by being able to depreciate the value of that house over like 20 something years, on your taxes. So even though the house is appreciating in value, for tax purposes, you're writing off depreciation against that. And the appreciation doesn't come into play until you sell the house. And if you never sell it, if you pass it down to your heirs, they don't have to pay those taxes on it, right? So that's two ways you win: appreciation in value, depreciation on your taxes, right? As a tax write-off. You also win because tenants are paying down the mortgages,
right?
So you get an appreciation that way. And you also win from the cash flow coming in from the rents, excess cash flow. So there's so many ways that you win with real estate. It's like the best. They say what they say, more millionaires were made than anything else with real estate.
Yeah. Because there's so many benefits to it. So many benefits. But I think that the key, what you said, man, is management. And I think so many people, and I don't know. I mean, I got lucky with my property. I just happened to say I'm too far away, don't want to manage it, and put a manager in there. But I know a lot of people don't put management in there. And
yeah, I couldn't do it without a manager. The tenants don't even have my phone number. I don't want them even knowing my name.
I don't
my
want
manager
to know
is
your
like
name.
this old middle-aged white guy, and they think he's the owner. I'm like,
yes,
y'all can keep thinking he's the owner. That's fine. Contact him.
Yeah. I don't have any contact with my renter. It's like, nope. She wants to do X. Oh, okay, go do it. Why? Who cares? So I like that. So that's why I'm like thinking about, well, if I get more and more of these. Now, do you have the same, are you most of yours in the same state?
Yeah, they're all right now in the same area.
Really?
Within the same 15 miles
That's
of each
amazing.
other. 15,
So
20
you
miles.
do you keep looking in that area for that reason?
Yeah. There's not many areas in the country where you'll find, 5-unit, 6-unit buildings, 8-unit type like buildings like
Right.
that for, unless unless you want to pay millions for it. Like, so this area I'm in is affordable. It's not like, so I know what blocks to avoid at this point. I mean, I've
Mhm.
had some hard knocks with properties I had to get rid of and stuff like that, but I know where to go. And there's certain areas like upstate New York, like Phoenix, around that area, like Columbus, Ohio, areas
Yay,
like that where they
Columbus.
have buildings you could buy.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And that's true too. A lot of these places, it's what's going on now, what they're building now is not what they built, in the 70s and the 80s, where
Yeah,
they were these multi-unit buildings. It's like Columbus is full of them. I was
yeah.
just visiting my mom up there and I'm looking around. I'm like, man, there's a lot of duplexes, triplexes, quads. I'm like,
Mhm.
this might be a good place. So now that
Uh,
you say that, it's got my
Absolutely
ears
is a good
peaked.
place. So here's the thing: it's like you don't want to be in the hood, so you don't want to go so cheap where you're trying to buy these dirt cheap properties in the hood because good luck
Okay.
collecting the rent,
I learned
right?
I
Or
learned
you
that the
collect the
hard way.
rent and you get robbed on the way out, so you don't
Uh-huh.
really collect the rent. You don't want and you don't want to be in the super high end because the numbers don't work. It's too expensive to be there, and usually it's not a lot of rentals in that area anyway. So you want to be right in the middle, like blue collar neighborhood area with jobs. So management is super important, but location is just as important, if not more. And the price that you get it at, and those are all considerations.
All right. So give me like the one thing I should avoid completely. Like, what's the biggest mistake you ever made with real estate?
Oh, for sure. Buying in the hood. Buying in the hood was like one of the biggest in the area where, people if they want to
Oh,
live there to begin, the type of person that wants to, I mean, I don't want to knock the hood. I'm from Hollis, Queens, so I don't really want to,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
the type of
But we're talking
person,
about investing.
right, investing,
Yeah.
right. So the mentality is just different. That, like people that live in that area, they know they're in the worst area. They just don't really care about paying the rent. Like, I pay it when I pay it. If I don't have it, I don't have it. If I gotta buy something, Christmas gifts for everybody, that's gonna go
Yeah.
first, and then you're gonna be late on your rent. I don't care. I'm just gonna do what I want to do with my money, and they know how to play the game. They'll just squat there and not pay, and then you got to go to court and spend money and get them out. So
Mm.
one of the biggest, the biggest kind of real estate faux pas, or I would say it was like a minor disaster with that property. I ended up writing off the whole damn property. So I bought this property for $118,000 in the hood, and I thought it was a great deal. It was a three unit property, and struggled to collect the rent. Held it for like 3 years. It was always a struggle. The building was always losing money. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna get rid of it. So I went to sell it, and then I ended up selling it to an investor, and I got a good price. But what I did was he wanted me to owner finance it to him, to
Carry
like
it.
be the
Uh-huh.
bank, owner
Yep.
finance it to him for 3 years, and then he was gonna um, refinance after that. So there was like a
Yeah.
balloon payment after 3 years that he was responsible to make, and he was gonna owner finance. He was gonna he was gonna refinance it after that. So he
Hmm.
was paying. It started out great. I mean, I thought like, okay, he's an investor. He has other properties. If he doesn't pay, I can come after him for his assets and stuff like that. So this guy, he paid well. He paid on time for the first year. Then after that, I guess he fell into some hard times and he stopped paying, refused to pay. And then I'm like, oh, damn. So I went to try to foreclose on him to take the property back. And prior to me doing that, he filed bankruptcy.
Mm.
So I was kind of screwed. So now I had to wait for the whole bankruptcy proceedings, and that
Wait, are
dragged
you
on.
collecting? Were there tenants?
There were tenants, but being that he claimed bankruptcy, I wasn't able to go in and force him to give me that money from the tenants. And the tenants weren't really paying on time anyway. And so this dragged on for like a year. I was
Oh,
finally able to get the property back. And that dragged on for like another 6 months where I actually went to auction. By the time it went to auction, because that's how it has to happen. It has
Yeah.
to go to auction. You have to, like, if nobody bids high enough, you can claim it at auction.
Yeah.
But by the time that happened, the property was like condemned. He had never paid taxes on it the whole time he was there. It was like 3 years worth of back taxes on it. It was probably like 80 grand worth of repairs. He just, like, crackheads were living there. It was boarded up. It was like vagrants were breaking in and squatting there. So it just wasn't even worth putting the money in to fix it up again and try to rent it. And then, like, the other houses, that block just diminished dramatically. And like the other houses were boarded up. His boards
So
on
it's
that
just,
house, and there was
yeah.
like a fire in this other house next door. So it was just not a good block. It was like one of the
Right.
worst blocks in that area. So I ended up just writing off the whole thing as a loss and letting that property go.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Huh.
was the worst
Yeah.
thing that ever happened with real estate. Other than that, it's been good.
So avoid that scenario. And there's a couple
Yeah.
of things to avoid in that scenario.
Yeah. And
Not just the
being in the
location.
hood,
Yeah, being in the
not
hood's the beginning.
owner financing to someone that,
Yes.
that he didn't have enough skin in the game either. I didn't take enough as a down payment.
Right.
You know,
Right. So it's
I
easy
should
for
have
him
took,
to just blow it off.
yeah, it should have been like 10, 20% down payment. He just blew the whole thing off and didn't care. And yeah, it was a disaster.
Mm. Man, that's a crazy story. That's a crazy story. All right. So, I mean, one of the things you do basically, though, is you're building assets with these homes, but also, I mean, on your digital marketing side, it seems like you build a lot of assets there with your webinars and things. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. How far back you want me to go?
I don't know. I mean, after all the big time book selling and being the cook of the world, how did you get into it? You know,
Yeah.
you can talk
So
about the cook of the world too. I mean, I always find the KFC story to be interesting.
yeah, so many stories we can go. I mean, I started doing digital marketing in 2001. I started in digital marketing, and I started out just as an affiliate marketer promoting other people's stuff. And I stumbled upon that idea for, I wanted to create my own product. So I was an affiliate promoting other people's products. And I was like, it'd be cool if I had a bunch of people like me promoting me instead. So let me create a product, put it out there on this marketplace called ClickBank, where you can, like, list products for sale, digital products. They do physical now too, like supplements and a lot of things like that are on there. It's like a marketplace where, like, say if I have a website or a blog or email list and I'm looking for a way to monetize it, I'm looking for something to promote where I can earn a commission as an affiliate, I go to ClickBank, I look at that marketplace, like, what would my audience be interested in buying? So you have a marketplace where people are constantly looking for products to sell. So it's a way to
Mhm.
get people promoting your product. And I found that out early on as an affiliate of that marketplace and then as a product seller. So I had the top product in the cooking category for like 3 or 4 years, going back like 2004, 2005 to like late 2007 or so, something like that. So I was able to build a huge audience from that. It was a cookbook about restaurant recipes. So I used to teach people how to make copycat versions of their favorite dishes. And I'm not a chef or anything. I just used to, research it online. And then later on, we built a community and people used to test these recipes. And we had a big message board of over like 125,000 people on this message board on the site. This was before Facebook, before
Yeah,
YouTube. Well, yeah, before 2004-ish, before social media really kicked off.
that was social media,
Yeah, message
right?
boards with social media.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I built up a big audience with that and parlayed that into a book deal with Simon and Schuster. And one of my friends was a publicist, and he got me on a bunch of different TV shows to promote the book, and really took off. Ended up selling 1.5 million copies. I've done 6 books with Simon and Schuster. So the first book was like 800,000 and change, and then it totaled to like, it's probably like more like 1.7 million now.
That's huge,
Copies.
man.
Yeah.
That's
So,
huge.
so I got on all these shows: Good Morning America, Wendy Williams, Fox and Friends, Home Shopping Network a bunch of times, and a bunch of other like local stations and stuff. So it was a good run.
Wait,
So
you're on
after
Home
that,
Shopping Network selling the book?
yeah, 4 times I was on there. Would have been 5 times, but one time I sold out. I was scheduled at a morning episode, and then I had an afternoon episode,
And sold
and
out in the
they sold
morning.
out all the inventory, so I couldn't go on the afternoon because there was nothing left.
All right, I'm curious about that. Who was providing the inventory? The publisher?
Yeah, Simon and Schuster.
Okay, so they were taking the discounts.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
wasn't
You were
making a
just
whole lot of
making,
money.
yeah,
It was
you were
really,
making the same. Yeah, okay, got
same
it.
royalties. I was getting
Royalties, that, yeah,
$1.25
yeah.
a book.
Yeah.
But it did a lot for my career just being on that.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't tell you how much money I've made from those appearances.
Mm.
Like I've done products and presentations related to like, here's how I did XYZ. Here's what I learned from Home Shopping Network, that type of thing.
Right.
How to sell. Yeah.
What'd you learn from Home Shopping Network?
Nothing. No, I mean, they have some
That is not
tactics.
true. That is not true. They had a network, at least. They had an audience.
Yeah,
But
I
no,
went through their sales training before appearing on the show, and they had an
now
audience.
that you probably didn't learn a whole lot from.
Yeah, well, it was, I mean, just Home Shopping Network in general. They have like that double thing going on, a double motivation to get you to buy. They have the scarcity in terms of the limit of the limited number of quantity, and they had that urgency in terms of like the countdown, because the episode is going to be over like 7 more minutes, like the episode's going to be over. So people are like, oh, let me buy right now. So it creates like an impulse buy type of environment. And I asked them, I'm like, you guys do this live 24 hours a day, all year long, every day. Why don't you just take some of your better episodes and repeat them? And they said, no, we don't want to do that because we want it to be a live environment where people have to buy right now. So they wouldn't want to, maybe they would get in trouble, maybe false advertisement or something, if they just recorded it and it was like, okay, you got 12 minutes left, and it's an episode from like last fall or something.
Right.
Man, I don't know. But yeah, that was their thing. I
But
also learned
this is you thinking we could replay this and actually.
Right. And I do that all day long with
Right.
webinars, right? I run the recorded webinar in a live environment, but it's recording, playing, and then I'll have someone moderate the chat. So it's kind of live. It's like live, not live. It's kind of, if someone asks a question like, is this live? We say, yeah, we're here with you live. How can I help you? So someone's there actually engaging with these folks.
But it's not playing a lot. Okay.
Thing. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's a hybrid.
Right. So I do a lot of that. So yeah, so long story short, I parlayed that. My career has been a series of, I've done this, now what's next? Like, okay, low hanging fruit now. People want to know, like, how did you get a book deal? How did you get on TV? How did you do all these things? So I started teaching what I did. Started teaching writers. I had a bunch of sites like Elite Writers Lab, and started this event called Bestseller Summit, and started doing all that stuff, started doing coaching, and started creating products related to what I did with digital marketing, and parlayed that into doing webinars, teaching people, like selling people on the webinars, selling higher ticket stuff. So like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. And then I did webinars so long that I started doing events, teaching people how to do webinars. And then that became a big thing where now I have this event. I have the #1 event for people that are in the webinar game. It's called Webinar Con. And that attracts a lot of high level people each year that are experts, influencers, and digital marketers that come that want to improve their webinar game and want to do cross promotions with other people that do webinars. Then we started a mastermind on the back of that called Webinar Alliance. So that's a $25,000 mastermind on the back of that, helping people all year long get people to promote their webinar. So those are some of the things I've done. And all that money pretty much
goes into buying
real estate. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. And if people are interested in webinars and and things like that. Is WebinarCon open to the public, or is it, a pretty
Well,
elite kind of thing?
WebinarCon is kind of like an elite audience. It's not a huge event. It's
Right.
a high ticket event. It's $5,000, and people pay that because they know they're going to make a lot more back. So if you have a webinar, or if you have a product that you do well with a webinar, it's an event to go to. But if you don't have anything to sell, if you're just trying to figure things out, it's
Right.
probably not the event for you yet.
Not the time. You really need to be ready to already on the ground running,
Yeah,
and this will
have
help
something
you
to sell.
amplify.
Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to keep it. I mean, that's the whole theme that's like the unique selling proposition of WebinarCon. It's the event you go to meet high-end people in the webinar industry, high-end people, high-end influencers, and avoid newbies. Nothing against newbies, but it's not the newbie event. So all the other events are newbie events. You go to Funnel Hacking Live or Traffic and Conversion Summit, it'll be newbies or like people with jobs that are just there to as like professional, working for an advertising agency or working in marketing department or some company, but they're not like hardcore entrepreneurs yet, for better or for worse.
So let me ask you, I mean, this is definitely feeling like, or people are calling it, the age of the short format video, with the rise of TikToks and Reels, and what are the YouTube ones now that are coming up? But I mean, is webinar still a viable? I mean, is that still a thing? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So these short form videos, YouTube Shorts, and the Reels, Facebook Reels, and all those, TikTok, and those are great for building an audience and then bonding with that audience, so that audience recognizes your brand, your face, your whatever, whoever's the face of your brand. They recognize that, and that is a big part of selling. Is like getting them to know, like, and trust you. That familiarity of them. Okay, I know this guy. I like what he's saying, right? And then from there, when you get them on a webinar, they're even more likely to watch that entire presentation, even more likely to buy that product. So it's really like a precursor, like a pre-sell to your webinar offer. So you still need, when you're selling, stuff that's discretionary, stuff that's not impulse type buys, like selling e-com stuff. You could do that, just short little video, look at this thing, and buy this.
Right.
But it's more of a longer sales process when you're selling something for $1,000, $2,000 or more, even selling something for $10,000, $20,000, where you're getting people on the phone after they watch the webinar presentation. It's a longer sales process where they have to get more information about your product. And you can't really do that in the short videos. The short videos mainly are for capturing people, entertaining people, and people that might not have necessarily been searching for, like if I'm selling a product about, high ticket affiliate marketing, I'm not trying to do videos about here's how you do high ticket affiliate marketing, because people aren't necessarily searching for that. I'm trying to do videos on here's how you can start a side hustle. Here's how you can increase your income. Here's how you can, retire early, stuff that has more of a mainstream appeal that people would actually be searching for. So you get them in on that level, get them interested, and then you show them the mechanism for doing it. Go here and watch this thing on exactly how to do it and how I can help you do it. So that's how you kind of webinar.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we have this term. I'm just trying to think how to put this, but I mean, we have this term webinar, right? And it came from teleseminar, right? So the teleseminar turns into the webinar when the internet starts having the ability to do video, right?
Right.
But today, I think that the iteration of so many things, it's really just about capturing the attention for a long period of time and teaching them enough so that they're able to convert either into, like you said, on the phone, a phone call, or actually purchasing the product based on the long formatted video. So, I mean, I'm just saying, it's like webinar is a almost generic term now for a long form video of, it doesn't have to have necessarily all the same things that it had back in the day, or does it?
Right. Well, I mean, teleseminar comes from seminar, right?
Yeah,
Like
right,
seminar speaking
right.
from the stage. That was the original, like people, you get people in a room. So webinars are just, and teleseminars and seminars in general, you get people in a room. That's the
Mm,
difference between that and just a long form video. Long form video, people like, I can pause it, I'll come back to this. You know, it's not an
got it,
event, right? So
got it.
webinar still has,
Okay.
you do it right, has that event type feel where people are in the room and there's a natural kind of motivation to take action before the end of that particular event. You know, it's like a
Yes.
natural urgency, like this is ending now, go ahead and take this desired action, you know, rather than I'm gonna come back to it, I'm gonna watch this later, I'm gonna wait, I'm not actively part of this particular thing, it's just a video, so you know I may or may not. And when people say I'm gonna come back to it, they don't come back to it. You
Hmm.
know, whereas a webinar, it's right there. You're like speaking directly to them. You know, same
So
thing with the
what's the
stage.
difference? Yeah, what's the difference in conversion on replays versus, and I'm talking about like I signed up, I didn't watch it live, but I watch it later versus people that come live for the actual event.
Oh, huge difference. Huge. I mean, you can make a lot of money on the replays just
Hmm.
because of the volume of people is much more because people watch it on their own time. You could set a deadline for that as well. Like if you do replays, you need to have a deadline. Like you need to watch this by this X date, or you know, it's going to be taken away, or people won't watch it, right? And you'll get a lot of sales on deadline day. So you get a lot of sales on the webinar, the
Okay.
deadline for the webinar, because the webinars are ending, you know, we got 10 minutes left in this presentation, and then you'll get a lot of sales on the expiration day of the replay because people just need a reason to act now, right? That's sales 101. You got to give people a reason to do it right now, compelling reason. Like do it right now, you get all these bonuses. Do it right now, you get this extra thing. Do it right now, you get a cheaper price. So do it later, you're not going to get these bonuses. You're going to pay more. You're going to, you know, you're not going to get this particular thing added in, this feature. So you got to give them a reason to do it right now. So the difference in conversions. So, I mean, you're going to get less people on a webinar than you will on a replay because replay, they can just watch it whenever they feel like it. So it's more
Mhm.
people. So less people will actually show up live, but the people that do show up live, those are real dedicated people. Someone that shows up live at a given time and spends an hour with you, 2 hours with you, that is a high quality prospect that's likely to buy. So webinars, you know, depending on the price point. So say if you sell something for $1,000, you might get 10%, 12%. Whereas you put a video on a sales page, you might get 2%, 3%, you know, stuff like that. So
Is there a specific length that it needs to be, or that it actually, works best when you said, an hour, 2 hours? What what's a good length?
uh it really depends. It really depends on how engaging your presentation is. So what's a good length for a Netflix movie, right? You might be
Mm,
you might watch it for 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or you might watch
right.
it for 3.5 hours, depending on how engaging it is, depending on how much you want to know about it. Personally, I like to have mine about 90 minutes to 2 hours. And I like to get to the point and drop the payment link, the option for them to buy
Hmm.
at about 45 minutes to an hour, you know, just to get
Okay.
them like here, you know, if you got to leave, like, you know, here's what it is. Here's the offer. Here's the payment way to make the payment. Here's the link, you know, and then you can spend the rest of the time doing Q&A, explaining other things, adding bonuses, just sweetening the pot to make them want to buy and to engage with them more. But yeah, I like to get them situated like 45 minutes, like, here you go. Because most people, like an hour is like a long time for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find, the attention span of people today is different. So let me ask you about this, because you mentioned earlier that you do replays with live chat. Have you found those to be as engaging for the audience that's watching at that time, you know, as well?
done right, there's not much difference. Not
Really?
much difference. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's
When you say replay,
interesting.
you mean like a webinar in a live like a live environment webinar room where they log into this webinar
They
room
log
and
in,
they're
it's
listening to
playing
a
live.
replay,
Yeah.
listening to a recording. Yeah,
No back button or nothing like that. No
not
pause.
much
They got
difference.
to stay. Yeah.
What does make a difference though is if you're doing a live webinar and you're engaging with them directly, where you're calling their name. That does give you a bump in terms of like they feel like they're part of this thing. But it's not a huge difference if you have a good presentation, a good offer, and if the people are being engaged with via live chat instead of the speaker actually calling their name.
Hmm. Now, if I'm in the live or if it's a live chat, would it be Ron doing the live chat or be Ron's assistant doing the live chat? In
It would
terms
be
of,
my assistant.
okay, but I'm saying in terms of how it shows up in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, it's two ways to think about that, right? If you want to be more personal with them, you should probably do it as you
Hmm.
engaging with them. But the other thing is like they're wondering how the hell are you doing this
I do.
presentation and chatting with them at the same time?
Yeah,
That
you
could
done
throw
wrote a
them
whole
off.
paragraph.
Yeah, like you just said a whole thing, and how you
Yeah.
able to, that could like throw it off. But I mean, you don't want to lie to people and tell them that
Yes.
that I tell them it's on demand presentation. I don't necessarily say it's a live presentation, but you don't want to lie to them. At the same time, engaging with them helps. But I personally like to do it with an assistant. It makes you seem more prestigious anyway.
Hmm.
Like you don't
You got
log
the,
on
yeah.
to a presentation with Elon Musk and expect Elon Musk to be chatting with you in the chat box. It makes
Right.
him look like it's too close. The power. You'd have some type of power distance, but they feel like they just don't have immediate access to you to say whatever they want to say when yeah. So it's two ways to think about it.
All right. Fantastic, man, because you've done a lot. I mean, a lot of these. And here's the thing. You're at the point now where you're almost like a network. You're kind of QVC for webinars at this point. I mean, people come on your network, you introduce the person, and then the presentation goes. And you might come back on at some point, but you're not actually, doing this. So I mean, you've done a whole lot of different products to the same audience, would you say? Make money online type vibe,
Yeah, similar audience. Make
similar
money
audience.
online, BizOp, you know, that
All
that
right.
is the
So
audience
what's
that
the sweet
buys
price
on
point?
webinars. What'd you say?
What's the sweet price point?
For me, $997,000 still is a good price point. I like the way the numbers, the math on that. I mean, I've had success at 1497, 1500. I've had success at 2000, but 1000 with a payment plan, like three payments of 397 or
Mhm.
three payments or two payments of 569. That doesn't produce a whole lot of resistance in terms of people got to think about it and ask their spouse and do all these things. So once the higher you go, the more resistance obviously you get. I think between and webinars anywhere between $500 and $2,500.
Good
Or
numbers.
so I've seen 2,500 or three payments of 1,000 do well. But I think anything outside of that in my market requires a phone
It
call.
gets them on the phone.
Yeah,
Makes
requires a
sense.
phone close.
Wow. All right. Some good stuff there. Now I know what to do with my money after I get it in a webinar. I go and put it into real estate, and then I make sure I don't buy in the hood. And so now I got the whole plan here. I got the blueprint. Let me ask you this last question, man. This is my last question. I like to ask everybody, is there something I should have asked you that I didn't?
Uh, I would say, well, I mean, we didn't go into my background other than the internet marketing stuff where I started. I had a whole life before that. I was 27 when I started. So we didn't go back further than that.
We don't really care about that.
We don't care. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was a Wall Street guy prior to that.
That's right. Talk about the Wall Street, because I mean, it is imperative that people understand that you do have a financial background too.
But no, now I don't want to talk about that. No, but yeah, you know, that was my career. I was a Wall Street guy, worked for JP Chase, and I went for my MBA. They paid for all this stuff. They had a tuition reimbursement program. So I was like, shoot, might as well. I went for my MBA. I became a chartered financial analyst. That took me 3 years. They paid for that. So I had a whole career going, and then got laid off in 2007. And I had this business going at the same time. So I always felt like a fish out of water, even though I had these credentials and whatnot. I never felt like I was like gonna succeed, gonna get rich on their dime, you know, working for them. So I was always an entrepreneur. So I always was looking for a way out, or what else can I do? So online marketing, I kind of stumbled upon it. A friend in grad school introduced me to email marketing, and that's how I really got started. So I was actually working for JP Chase and doing my business at the same time for like 6 years before I got laid off and before I finally went full time. So
it's like probably getting laid off was really a blessing.
Absolutely.
Because you might have been stuck in this, you know, matrix of both worlds for a long time and never really succeeding in either.
Yeah. It's like you never know who you're gonna meet or who you can meet when you're available at 11 o'clock in the morning and you're not at work, you know, and like 10:30, you know, the time we did this interview, you know, usually I would be at work, right? I can't do it. Right? I can only do it during my lunch break, which is now an hour. But, you know, when you get laid off, you can go network with people. You can do, you know, morning show interviews. You can do all this stuff. Like you could meet with other people that don't have that 9-to-5 job or those obligations.
It absolutely helps,
doors
man.
Kind of open.
And
doors kind of open too for you when they have to. You know, it's a whole thing about when things have to happen, things tend to happen.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. I say some of the best motivation is a foot up your ass. You know, I mean,
exactly, or a bill that's due that absolutely has to be paid. Or you know, it's amazing what you can do when you have to, and you feel like your back is against the wall, and that's when you really have to get creative, and it's like sink or swim. You know, like my problem today is putting myself in the situation where I feel like I have to do certain things. Yeah, I don't absolutely don't. I don't have to do anything. Like I could just, you know, I get this passive income coming in. I have these events coming up, and on a day-to-day basis, I don't necessarily have to be in front of a computer or have to be working or have to be trying to get additional income. So some days I just don't. where I should be building, maximizing my time. Some days I'm just not motivated at all, and it's because I don't have to be. So
you're playing with that cute puppy.
Yeah, exactly.
Killer. All right, man. I appreciate you hanging out and doing some talks with us this early in the morning. But let me ask you, if people want to follow you and learn more from you, where should they go?
Just go to rondouglas.com. I have an email list you can sign up for. Or you can go to Facebook and search for me on Instagram. Mr. Ron Douglas is my handle.
Okay.
On IG.
How about to say, don't go on Facebook. Don't go on Facebook, man. Because you're a comedian over there. And they'd be like, who's this guy? All right, Ron, I appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thank you, John. This has been an honor. Thanks for having me on your show.
Peace.